Everybody, welcome back to the Outer Worlds. Last episode, I spent 30 minutes trying to kill a boss. We're getting one step closer to saving our friend, Dr. Wells. Wellis. Oh, look at this. Wow, she died in one hit. Fuck that bitch. Give me that shit. How do we get him out? Fuck that bitch. She turned into ashes. Looks like we're finally getting him out.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved and long.
96,000 XP?
And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind, and I can't begin to thank you enough.
Are you kidding? The board never stood a chance against me.
Ah, all in a day's work for you, huh? You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated.
Great. I was just about to pop some drinks and celebrate.
I would like nothing more than to celebrate this victory, but we have a serious problem on our hands. Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
So we've got to make do on our own. Seems to me that'll make us stronger in the end anyhow.
You're quite right. We've got no choice but to make do on our own.
You mean we're all alone out here? Really alone?
I'm afraid so, Miss Holcomb. Halcyon is the only home we have left. Returning to Earth is
Oh,
the
shit.
only option. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own.
We have a lot of work ahead of us. We better get started.
Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. You've succeeded where anyone else would have failed, including me. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds. And then we're going to fix this damn colony, one problem at a time. We're going to need a leader. And I can't imagine a better person for the job than you. What do you say, old friend? Will you help us?
Hell yeah, I will. Somebody has to run this colony. I'm the only competent person left.
You won't hear a word of disagreement from me. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take it upon yourself to lead this colony, you have my support. We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our last connection to Earth has been severed. And so, we have been set free. Our future is uncertain, and no one knows what tomorrow holds. Exciting, isn't it?
Ah, sick. Alright. I don't know if this is the ending of the game. I'm assuming it is. The Outer Worlds.
Teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events brought about the end of the board's authority.
So this is the end.
The board's mistakes would
I cut last video short because it was the fucking 30-minute boss fight.
The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or
Yeah,
worse,
fuck the board.
colony was
Sons of
responsible for its
bitches.
own destiny. Sanjar's civil liberties and worker-centric policies were slow to catch on with the other corporations. But as Halcyon began its long, arduous journey toward recovery, many of Terra 2's smaller townships started adopting MSI's alternative corporate structure, and eventually became entirely self-sufficient. In the coming years, many of these townships managed to eke by, where otherwise they might have starved. After returning to Edgewater, the deserters negotiated workplace reforms with Reed Thompson.
Edgewater, that's the first
including a single
town that I discovered.
came to be known as a weekend.
Am I gonna be able to go back to these planets?
Thompson found himself pining for the old days. He was known to spend his weekends in the cantina, nursing one of the few remaining bottles of Zero G, and repeating to himself, "It's not the best choice, it's Spacer's choice." As for
The hell?
Devon, she tended to her garden in solitude.
Oh, that bitch is still tending to her garden.
Her body was discovered some months later.
Oh, she died?
Thompson paid her a visit in an effort to make amends.
Oh,
Buried in a place of
damn.
honor underneath the floor of the Edgewater cannery. Reed believed this was what she always wanted. Junlei Tennyson fought to protect the Groundbreakers' independence. While the board's influence faded, mechanical difficulties forced her to rely on parts that only corporations could provide. The cost was high, and time would tell if Junlei could balance the work with her aspirations for a better future. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs.
He acts like that's so, like, a pain in the ass.
Parvati eventually grew comfortable aboard the Unreliable. She never quite came out of her shell. She seemed to prefer the company of Ada to the crew, and she could often be found neck-deep in cables and grease, telling Ada funny stories from her childhood. While the colony fell into chaos, she found an island of relative peace with Ada, and they formed an unusual bond. She decided to remain aboard the Unreliable permanently as its chief and sole engineer. As hard as she tried to drink them away, Nyoka's memories eventually overcame her. Traveling with the crew served as a constant reminder of the family she'd lost, and so she eventually returned to Monarch to get back to what she found most comfortable: the deep end of a bottle and the far end of a trail.
What?
Few have seen her since, but travelers often swear they hear her and her machine gun in the night, screaming swears and spitting bullets. Before his untimely death, Captain Alex Hawthorne had plans to restore and modify, for combat purposes, a sanitation and maintenance automechanical that he'd found in a state of disrepair in Emerald Vale's scrapyard. That unit remains broken down and forgotten in the Unreliable supply closet to this day. Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor.
Oh, that's good for him.
It became clear that no help would be coming from Earth. He threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self, by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony.
Oh, that's nice.
Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers.
I like all the missions and the outcomes that I'm happy with the outcomes that I have.
Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later.
Oh,
His work
no.
was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today,
Damn, that sucks.
stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you? The unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon.
That's what I want to know.
You brought an end to the chaos on Tartarus and proved yourself the most capable leader left in the colony. You administered the colony in your own image. With the old power of the board destroyed, a new government of Halcyon rose with you at its center. With your steady hand, you guided Halcyon through the turbulent years that were to follow and helped ensure the survival of the colony until the end of your days. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Hell yes. The Outer Worlds. Oh my god, this game was great. I don't think I'm going to be able to go back into the world. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That was the whole game. Damn, it took me like... How many hours do I have clocked in this game? I think 12. Yeah, like 11.7. Wow. Alright, this game was fucking crazy. I guess I chose the right path that I wanted to choose. There was a couple different paths that I could have done. The two missions, I guess, that I kind of felt bad for was that lady in the garden. I really didn't want to turn her power off, but there was no other choice. And the other mission where I had to save this lady's son, I just killed her son for the sake of it because he was being a little dick. So I guess if you enjoyed this series, a rating is for sure and always appreciated. And I'll catch y'all later. Peace.